Hi everybody, this is Shubha again. I'm back with my second tutorial, and today we are going to actually learn making a mandala, painting a mandala. And what we're going to learn today is, I'm planning to do this evil eye pattern, just the center of it, not the outside, okay, just the center. So I have taken a 6 inches wooden base that I have painted in gesso and then painted in black color. So that this is ready. So you can do that as your homework before you get started with this tutorial. And we're going to also learn how to find center of the circle. Most of the times, 99% of the times, you will not have the centers marked on the circle. So you will need to learn how to, one of the basic patterns that I use to, basic methods that I use to mark center. So I'm going to teach you that today, and then we're going to draw the lines, the circular lines, and then we're going to divide the this circle into 36 parts using this protractor. I'm not going to be using any stencils because this particular pattern, it all depends on your practice and freehand practice, I would say, but of course with the guidelines. So try not to use stencils. If you really want to use stencils, then you'll have to find a stencil that has these, these points intricately marked. But let's learn it without the stencils today, okay? And then also at the end, I'll tell you how to mix colors to get this gradient effect. You see how this is gradient. The gradient is starting from lower, the smaller circles, inner circles are lighter in color, and then they're growing outward towards darker colors, darker shades. So the DecoArt Americana, the blue, the true blue, and the white. Okay, so let's get started. So let's get started with finding the center of the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two lines anywhere on the circle. And remember to mark or remember the length of the lines that you're drawing. Okay, so I'm drawing 4-inch lines, and then you'll also have to mark the center of these two lines. Okay, so just draw two lines. You can draw both the lines of same length, or you can choose different lengths, but in both the cases you'll have to mark the center of these two lines. Okay, anywhere. These two lines can be placed anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to draw 90-degree lines from each of the centers that we marked for the lines. Okay, and 90-degree line from here as well. Yeah, as you can see, these two lines are intersecting here, and that is our center. Okay, so this is our center. And now what you're going to do is leave one of those lines, just leave one of those lines and erase everything else, so that you have a clean slate that you can draw your other guidelines on. Okay, so just leave that one line out. In fact, continue and draw the line throughout so that you have that line. Okay, now we're going to mark equidistant points on the line. I'm going to do 1/4 inch throughout the line. This is just for your sake of having the circles uniformly drawn on the on the board. It all depends on the design that you are making, and because we are making an evil eye design, these guidelines, these circular lines that you're making them, you're drawing them equidistant, they're actually not very important to be, they don't have to be equidistant. What I mean is, they don't have to be equidistant, but I just want you to follow best practice. This is the best way to do it. So just draw from the outside ring and make sure that you're eyeballing this outside ring and it's all placing really well on the circle. If it is lopsided, that means your center that you calculated, or you found out the center, that center is probably not the right one. So you'll have to go back and redo the process of marking the center. So let's draw these circles nicely. My pencil again needs to be sharpened. Probably I'll use another pencil. Okay. We're going to leave out the center of the board. As you can see, the center of the board is the actual eye pattern. So I'm going to teach you maybe in the next class how to draw the eye pattern, how to paint the eye pattern. But for now, I think we're good. So now let's go back and I'll sharpen my pencil again to draw the protractor lines, So these lines need to be really marked well and on the right degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide the entire circle into 36 parts. That means for every 10 degrees we have to put marks and draw the lines. Now because the board is small, I'm choosing the inner part of the protractor to draw the lines. And then also this part is empty, so I have to go back and do it maybe, okay. Just choose to draw however it fits you. There you go. Okay, so now we have to just draw straight lines considering the center and the two opposite ends. Let me position it again. Yeah, sorry that it just went out of the top camera. If your guidelines are very perfect, like they're just neatly done and they're not lousy, half the job is done. Because mandala art is all about being consistent throughout. So whatever design, whatever pattern that comes to your mind and you want to put it down, no matter what, if you're consistent and very methodical, it'll just show up very nicely on your piece. It doesn't have to be a special unique pattern, but as long as you're consistent with what you're doing and as I said, methodical, you should be able to bring out a very nice and illusory pattern. Okay, there it is. So we have our mandala guidelines all set up, and let's move on to mixing the color. Now that we have already chosen our design, so we're going to mix the color, and so these are the colors that we're going to use. Okay, here. This is the titanium white, and this is true blue that I'm going to be using. So let's start with mixing the colors. And as you see, the pattern starts from white inside. So ignore the eye part. So if you come out of the eye part, then you see the white color, and then it progressively goes into blue, right? So we're going to start with white and then slowly mix a little bit of blue, true blue, in that mix, and that's how you go about going into a gradient. So color mixing is very important for mandala art, and I'm still learning it, but yeah, I mean, this is one of the easiest patterns for color mixing, so I thought of bringing this out to you guys. So we're going to start with white first. Let's pour some white and get the outer circle marked. Okay, so let's see. So I have two of these, so maybe I will use probably I'll use this one, because I'm planning to dot on, so I don't know if you can see. Okay, so I'm planning to dot on the center of these two lines. So each dot should be placed on each of the sections that you see. Okay, so this is how it'll look very consistent. So let's try doing that. So depending on that, I'm going to use probably this dotting tool and the white color. Dots are just in the center of these two lines that you see, and they're not spilling over. The paint is not spilling over on the dots, and you just have to follow exactly the consistency of your hand movements, the tool, how much of the tool you're pressing into the surface. So again, as I said in my previous tutorial, you may have heard it or not. So the dotting is not about painting on the surface, but dotting is more about how much of paint blob is put on the surface. So you're not pressing the tool anytime on the surface. You're just dropping the paint blob on the surface, and then only you will see some consistent effect. So let me zoom in a little bit to see if you can, yeah, that's better. Okay, so if you can see, each of these dots are very measured, consistent, and you just have to have patience to follow through the process, and then at the end you will see a very nice pattern evolving. So I'm barely feeling the surface with my dotting tool. I'm just dropping the paint blob. So again, paint consistency is very important. More you start, more you get on the journey, like more advanced you get on the journey, dotting journey, you will see that, you know, the paint consistency, if it is runny paint, you will really have, you know, if you want to get a 3D dot, you know, you will have issues with the paint which is very runny. So I think this was okay. Okay, so this is our first line of dots. Okay, so then the next line of dot, I'm going to use the same tool, same head of the tool, and there are, if you look at the design, there are multiple layers of white. So I'm not going to follow exactly the same pattern, but yeah, similar. So going back to our board, so now this time, if you see that the space now is going to be right on the line, so look carefully. So if you look, these two dots, now the second line of the dot is going to be sitting right in between the two dots and on the line. Okay, and they have to be a little bigger than what you just did. But I would suggest do not change your tool yet. Just go with the same tool and feel it out. Okay, so they have to be right in between the two dots. And just a little more of the paint that you're going to pick up with your tool and follow the pattern. And just make sure that you are not in a rush, because this is an art of patience. This will actually help you get you into a meditative state of your mind. So more you are enjoying the process, more you will enjoy the art form, and better it'll come out at the end. More you're in a rush, if you're in a rush to skip the guidelines and not follow the consistent efforts, you will not see the results as good in the end. And trust me, I have gone through that journey pretty hard way. My first mug that I ever made, I'm probably going to show you one day. It came out such an ugly piece of artwork, and I was like, I shouldn't have done that. And that was I mean, you know, my excitement of getting into this art form was too much, way too much than the patience that I should have had at that time. So yeah, of course, I've come a long way after that. And this is how you should be continuing your dotting journey. Make sure that your dot, the second line of dots, are just a little bigger than what you have done in the beginning. And you can do this if you're really a beginner and you have never done this, and this is your first ever video tutorial that you are watching and you want to follow along. Yes, please do that. And I would suggest you don't even need to use these small tools. You can use bigger headed tools to just get started, because it's the same concept. Whatever head that you're using for the tools, you just have to follow the consistency. Not touching the surface is one big thing, and then paint consistency. So you just have to feel it out first. You don't have to choose the tiniest of the tool in order to make the pattern look nice in the. Okay, now that we are done with our two lines of dots and we have got a good hang of it, now we're going to mix the true blue color, the true blue DecoArt Americana acrylic paint, into this white color that I have. Okay, just a teeny bit, just to make sure that it is just one shade towards blue from the white. Okay, so you're going to create this gradient effect just by mixing a teeny bit of blue every time. Okay, you just need a teeny bit, and after mixing you will have to figure out if this is too much of sky blue or you need a little bit of white into it. Yes, I think I will need a little bit of white into it, because if you look at this is quite far from the white, so I would need a little more of the white color. Yes, this is the kind of sky blue that I wanted to just give the gradient a very smooth transition from white. Yeah, this is closer to white. If you look at, this is closer to white. Yes. Okay. So again, let's get started. The same consistency and the pattern. So, but this time around, make sure your dots are a little bit bigger. So I will need to choose a little bigger tool for myself. So maybe this one is a bigger one. This one is a bigger one. Make sure your dots are exactly lined into the sections and exactly in between the two dots above it. So you just have to follow the pattern very, very meticulously, no rushing. So now that we have done one layer of the white, two layers of the white and one sky blue, we are going to add a little more blue in it, okay, to get the next shade. Next row is going to be, so if you look at it, the next row is going to be right in between the two dots, the blue dots, the sky blue dots, and on the line, okay, not in between the lines but actually on the line. So let's get going. And again, this time around, make sure that your dots are just a teeny bit bigger than the previous line. That's how you should go about making the pattern. Just a teeny bit bigger, not too big. So if you see, I'm not touching the surface at all. I'm just dropping the paint blob on the surface. Sorry that it went out of focus. Okay, Watch this one now. And it has to be right in between the two dots and in the section that you have marked on. So you can go back and forth on the same dot. See how I'm doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because I feel there is a lot more paint on my tool than on the surface. So I'm just dropping the paint on the surface just by going back and forth a few times. But that's pretty much it. I'm not going to be scratching the surface or touching the surface of the board. Now I'm going back and loading up a little more blue. Just a teeny bit. And let's see how blue is this. Okay, I need a little more white as well. This is too much of a blue. So I'm doing this on the fly just to save up a little bit of paint. What you can do is you can also, take one of these from Amazon. Okay, yeah, so these come in like containers that you can load up your paint, mix up your paint, pre-mix your paints, and you can simply use them on the go. You don't have to, go back and forth on the paint and see if that is the right shade that you have got. It gets much more easier that way, but I just wanted to show you how to
Playing from Shubha's S23 Plus.
I just wanted to show you how to mix the paint to get the gradient color. Okay, maybe a little bit of blue is needed, just a teeny bit. Yeah, this should be good. Okay, this is good. Now we are closer to the true blue shade. So, and I have chosen a little bigger dotting tool this time. I don't know if you can see. This is a 5mm dotting tool, and it's a fixed dotting tool. So I've mixed a lot of blue and a little bit of white this time, and going on the same way, dotting just in between the two sections. I mean, just in the section between the two lines. So we drew the circles, right? And I just wanted to reiterate on what I said while I was drawing the circles, is that you don't have to be following the circles or dot on every single circle, every little line of the circle that way, but those are just serving as guidelines. So if you look at some of the points very closely, let me switch up the camera. Yeah. So some of the lines, some of the circles that we, some of the dots that we did, they're not even on the lines, but you just have to make sure that all the dots line up around the same way on the circles. If they're not lining up on the circles, then all of them need not line up on the circle for the same line of dots. I don't know if I confused you a lot about what I wanted to say, but now for this particular line of dots, they're just coincidentally lining up in the circle that I drew, the circular line that I drew, and they're just exactly fitting in with the tool size that I'm using. But if I would have chosen a different tool and would have chosen a bigger tool, then you know, the dots would have actually bled outside of the marks, and that would have been just fine. Like, there's nothing wrong in that. It's just that you have to follow the same consistent method of dotting throughout for the same line of dots. Okay, I'm just finishing this line of dots, and I'm super excited to see how the result turns out to be. We still have 3 more lines of dot to paint. Another thing that I want to mention here is just hold your tool very straight while you're dotting. So let me switch up the camera for this one. Okay, so if you see, okay, so if you see, I'm holding the tool just 90° to the surface, then only you can just drop the paint exactly, and the shape of the dot will be round. If you're not holding the tool straight up, then you're risking by you know, risking the shape of the dot. So that's very important aspect. Okay, so I'm going to mix a lot more blue this time, and no more white, because I'm getting closer to the outer rim of the circle. So let's get going with the next round of the circle of the dots. And this time it's going to be a little bigger, a little more paint loaded in the tool. And let me switch it up for the close-up so that you can see how the dots, you know, how the paint yeah, oops. Okay, so so as you can see, I'm just dropping the blob and not touching the surface. Just like that. Now we are at the last rim of the evil eye piece, and I have used a different brand of paint this time, just to get a little deeper blue shade. And I want to give it a little more illusory effect towards the outer rim of the circle. So I'm actually reducing the size of my dots from the last 2 lines of dot. So this is how it'll turn out to be. And after I remove the guidelines with either eraser, after the art piece just dries up completely, like give it like 24 hours, it should dry up completely, and then you try to erase it with eraser. If it is not coming out, then use wet cloth to take off all the guidelines that you can still see through the dots. And then we're going to see that pattern that just pops up like never before. It's magical. It's a wonderful pattern. I'm just in love with this pattern, and I can go on dotting forever in my life for this color combination for this pattern. So I've already done two fridge magnets. I've done a couple of Evil Eye art pieces, wall decor, Evil Eye bookmarks, Evil Eye car hangers, you know, those kinds. So yeah, this is my favorite pattern, and I'm sure many of you who are watching are also enjoying the color combination, because blue is, you know, one of the most favorite colors that we generally come across. Okay, so here is the pattern that you can take a look, and you'll see the ombre effect. And once we take off the guidelines, and also I just wanted to show you one thing. If you see the last rim of the dots, they are 3D, like they're like sticking out, because I have used a different brand of paint. So yeah, that definitely works wonders if you're using a different brand which holds the dots really nicely. And so this is how I actually also wanted to give you a little showcase of, you know, this is the pattern, and now look at this pattern. It's almost similar, and of course with the lighting and everything, it will really look nicely, you know, with the centerpiece when we do the center piece. But again, every time you make an artwork, you choose different dotting tools, you choose different colors, different shades, different amount of mixing, and again, no two artworks can be exactly the same, and hence each and every artwork is a unique piece of your heart. Okay, so that's all for today, and I'm excited to share the final piece at the end of this video. So if you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and share this as much as you can, and save it for your viewing later on, and let me know what you want to learn in your next video tutorials. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.